Hello, everyone. GoldenHawk here, founder of House of Life, 24th degree High Priestess, and creator of Ancient Powers. I want to speak to a little piece here before I get too far into anything. Glenn Steele put up a very long question, and he's one of my recent Ancient Powers graduates, but he had the activations actually quite a long time ago. It was an experiment. But he put a question up, long, with several pieces to it. And I was going to do a bit of a discussion with him on it here today. But he got called in to do some emergency technical work for someone who was having some video problems for the Blues Fest in Portland. So it's just myself, and I'm going to try and remember all of the pieces that we were going to address on this. But first and foremost, the piece is on recognition. And recognition is actually, it's recog, and it's actually a piece where those who have this in a sixth sense ability, it's part of clairvoyance, clear seeing, and it's a gift. So there are very few people out there who have this recog, the recognition of someone that you've known from another lifetime. It will usually activate old memories from other lifetimes, and quite often, most often, the person that you recognize doesn't recognize you back. They don't have the gift, and a great deal of them do not have access to having lived any other lives. And there's a portion of the Book of Coming Forth by Day, which people commonly call the Egyptian Book of the Dead, on this recognition, and the piece that there are those who have been judged by the feather of Maat, who is the time-space piece. They've been coroned, and they have other abilities. And when they go into the Duat, or the other world, which is actually beyond where most people go when they pass, because they are activated and connected to the sun, they come from that 90 strip, they go into the Duat, and when they come back, they're born with the abilities that they had before in other lifetimes. Now, when we were sealed, when the seals were put on ancient Egypt and then eventually put on the bloodlines because of all the hunting that went on of those who had the gifts, when we were sealed and we started looping back through the 4D continuum, it's in our genetics, and it does come in as gifts. It can be very, very confusing, and it brings in karmic pieces with it that keep us attached and connected to the loops, which is pretty basic. If you recognize someone from a past life, oh, you were my mother, you were my teacher, my lover, a good deal of the time, at least one of you has unfinished karma. If you want out of the loops, you move into a position of objectivity, and you take a view of what was going on during that lifetime, what the big pieces are. In my activations, one of the things with the new tools allows us to view things through a multiplanar. We view things through a tesseract, so we bring things from different planes and from the other dimensions, and we're sat in the center of it so that we can get signs and symbols in order to have better ability to interpret, and also connection to the Akashic records, not the records from the loops in karma, but the true Akashic records. And we can make a way to move through that. There's several different tools and exercises you can do, in order to do actual real energetic release. This does involve actual energy being erased and reprogrammed inside the body, not pulled out, not cords cut. It's a very different thing. Cutting cords creates antennas that just draw more of the same thing, which to me seems worse in my own experience and in working with others. But so this should address a few of the issues that Glenn brought up. Another piece that comes up with this a whole lot is those of us who are opening up start having a lot of problems inside personal relationships, and these relationships a lot of times are based on a resonance, if not a recognition, at least a resonance, but a lot of times a recognition. Karmic, I believe some of it we even get through pheromones, but our partners, lovers, husbands, wives, very best friends, business partners, a lot of times we come to a point where we're in ascension energy and we're shifting and changing, and our frequencies are actually getting higher, and the other party will sometimes try to move with you, but they don't have the tools, they don't have the gifts. A great deal of the time they really cannot speak to the reality of our lives. They don't understand it, and they begin going into a more and more negative cycle. They shut down quite a bit of real communication and refuse to be open in discussion about what's going on. They'd rather go, wow, you're crazy, or I don't understand it. I need to believe in Jesus, or I'm going to go to hell. Very fear-based, and that would mean they're not one of us, and I'm going to touch on that in just a minute too, but they fall away, and sometimes they actually crash. There's parts of them inside their consciousness that where your energies are actually interlocked, and your energy moves to such high resonating level, even in the lower dimensions. I mean, we're resonating from, a resonance with the inner core of the earth at about a 4. And we always need to have that resonance. And then we go through the different hertz structures, but it's a by far more open field, and it's connected to something really ancient, by far more ancient than the false structure that came in with the temples in Sumer and the churches with the false creator gods. And these people don't just fall away, sometimes they snap. They will at times get violent, other times just seem to be speaking almost like babble, like they can't understand. They're answering to us as if we've said things different than what we have said. They drop off in communication, and some of them just cut ties and walk away. And this is really, really difficult to deal with, because beings of ascension connection, coming from the lineages that we come from, being gifted and knowing, we are almost always ready to communicate and then to alchemize the communication, to learn from it, and to shift. We're usually willing to take on a different perspective, although sometimes we just won't go back into chains. But we'll take on a different perspective and try to learn from it and try to communicate and alchemize from that point. And fear, and especially fear of going to hell, or fear of the great responsibility that there is with going, yes, I am a creator. I know I have been creating this, and I can create differently if I can learn how. that I have the gifts to do it, completely different situation. And they shut down. They don't have, as I said, the gifts and the abilities. And I know some of us don't have a direct connect with what is creator, what is the structure. That's a big problem. That's why I spent probably from the time I was about 4 or 5. This is the wrong structure. I got to find the right structure. I need a structure. I need a structure. I need a structure. Nobody around loves Saturn like I do. Although I had a great time dancing around all over the place and other things. Coming into resonance with Saturn was the most important, and because Saturn is our resonator and our bridge into the other dimensions. And now I'm going to address the piece of us. I always come from a position when I am reaching out, when I am speaking to a group, this group, or if I'm doing a seminar or whatever, I speak out to you, and my channel, Hathor Ninefold One, she calls out to sons of the sun and daughters of the sun. And anciently, through all of the tribal structures, the real ancient structures, the sun is our father. And the sun is our father. And I had to sit with that for a minute, because I just always do. So we were called in from wherever we came from, and we can say different star systems, we can say different tribes. It doesn't matter. It really, that piece does not matter. But we were called in through a chaos piece, and we were called in by a point of desire, a point of very intense love and need, and we were brought into the center. And we are brothers and sisters in that situation. We were brought in for our ability to expand and create. And through our multitude of lifetimes here, or through the genetic pieces where we've awakened through the genes of the family, it doesn't matter actually which perspective you take on that either. But we were called in, we're connected because of it. We have been more than initiated, but coroned. We have actualized abilities that have woken up in our genetics that has allowed us to have the gifts that we have. We are inside the 4D quantum continuum. Anything we do here with any type of belief in the old structures is going to cause struggle. It's going to cause negativity. Every time we try to come out of it, we will end up feeling like we're attacked, or accidents happen. A lot of different things are basically triggered when this starts. And at some point in this process, we start coming into contact with one another. We start being called in with one another. But we are different. We are different because of this very ancient connection. And we are the ones who will recognize. That's Hathor's eye. The great goddess, so they say, the netter. Temtemu, the first point of Ra, as he desires, the eye comes. and the I is recognition. And from the I comes the tear. And from this comes the hote, the thought. And through the process of the dimensions and the ancients that come, hi Melvin, from these, we come into consciousness. And yeah, I can tell you some stories about recognition. It's kind of wild, but we do recognize each other, and sometimes we recognize different stories, and it'll take time for the others to go, oh, because it's like, I remember you from, remember when we were in ancient Libya? Oh, no, we were in Britain. I'm telling you, no, we were down at the tip of Africa. Remember that Malachite mine? And it's like, and these are all correct. Our memories are not all at the same intensity for each lifetime or experientiality. And at a certain point, it becomes where we're at now and what we're doing now. Hi Amy. But that piece that Glenn was asking about was recognition. And it may go for some into future pieces, which means you've got precognition, but that's a probability. And if you're not creating it, then yeah, you can precog it because it's in the probability field. But the past isn't as solid as we believe either. And we do bring things into being in our now that are suddenly remembered from the past. So this is another piece about being quantum continuum creators. Every human being out there is one. Very, very few choose to actually find the way to open their fields and release the seals and live and move and create from an open field. The lack of structure makes it really scary, and it makes it really difficult. The fact that, where's our foundation? Do we have a foundation? We do. We have a foundation in ancient Chem that brings all of the other places together, and all of the ancient tribal cultures were given the same basic teachings. Science is discovering it now. I do want to mention something with 7D, the field of sound light. Our bards are musicians. They've been connected with it right along. They do have a real different way out of the loop with that. And they bring some real strong, intense pieces for us for our learning. And I want to thank my musician friends that are out there. And that's of course why I said, oh yeah, go ahead, go to the blues festival. I don't need my computer to work, which is why I'm having a little trouble with the film here. I'm on the wrong computer because we're still having problems with Chrome out here. So anyway, no one has come forward to ask me any questions. And I know that some of you that I've been chatting with and having some PMs with are having some problems with this. And some of the difficulties that it brings up. There was a big shift on May 13th, 2018 that was unexpected. And it threw a lot of us into a different reality. It is part of the Ascension, but the energy has got us like really standing out. And what was working for us while we were more in the 4D quantum probability loops is working less and less. We're very aware that we've been turned up. And if you're experiencing these problems and need to do more than just know about them, give me a PM and I can get you the same results that I get my other clients and my students. And I'd absolutely love to help you out. I will be, of course, posting the resonances during the week. And this coming week, we're going to be talking about sorcery and Toltec, the Toltec sorcery, some of the differences in, hi Jason, some of the differences in Toltec sorcery and where we are stepping into. I was very lucky, very, it wasn't luck, I was gifted. Carlos Castaneda's handball partner, Jim, in his 90s, came into me when I was working with several of the tribes, and I was based out of the Blue Wolf in Tacoma, pretty close up to, Mount Tahoma, Rainier. And he came and taught me in person some of the things I was having some problems with. Hi, Jason. Oh, I know there's such a delay sometimes. Anyway, so I'm going to be going over the Castaneda stuff, and we can find out about that. My activations and courses go beyond just the basic structure. I do go into real deep shamanism, and yeah, I teach you how to strip the myth and connect with those netters and beings that are aligned to you. You have been in more than one tribe. You are from more than one people. You are actually the X-Men, no matter what we look like or seem to be. We have bloodlines in us, no matter what some people say. We have bloodlines in us going back that's connected basically to every race on the planet. We are always more than one starseed. We are the evolving ones. Here's hoping that you decide to take the cap off and unlock. And I love you all, brothers and sisters, sons of the sun, daughters of the sun. And I'll be around to chat for a while afterwards. And I will be doing some work with stones here too. And that's going to be really great. You all have a great weekend, or week. This is the end of the weekend. Have a great week. And I'll see you Tuesday, hopefully, for the information on Toltec shamanism. Oh, I got to work with one of the young Toltecs who was being put through the training also back in the late 90s, which was absolutely fascinating, and I forgot.